So steering dynamic. Almost a lot of water. There we go. Here we go.
Hey, you go. Good seeing you.
Good to see you as well.
Okay. Already.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for my colleagues. This is, I think, a transformative moment that we have a chance to bring the free market into our airport area. But just want a quick comment here. For nearly 60 years, the federal imposed perimeter rule has made Washington Reagan one of the most expensive airports in the country. It's also the only airport in our nation that's been sheltered from the benefits of the free market by D.C. legislators. Those free market benefits of competition and meritocracy can be seen in every other sector in our society. It grants the American consumer the best prices, convenience, and value. This bipartisan effort will begin to modernize the arbitrary, protectionist federal policies put in place for the economic protection of one airport and one airlines. This bipartisan effort will instead put the focus on the priority of the American consumer. The millions of our constituents, the families, elementary and high school students, small business owners, and other D.C. visitors who have been priced out for years of the option to visit, learn, and redress their representatives in the nation's capital. We have an opposition that seeks to protect the status quo. The 60-year-old status quo is anti-consumer. Its biased nature, a monopoly that seeks to stifle competition and send a clear message back home to the American consumer. That message: we are determined to keep our choices low, which translates to you as keeping your flight tickets and our profits high. Every American should have the opportunity to visit our nation's capital and witness their government in action. The DCA Act will increase access to the constituents while working to decrease costs. I urge my colleagues from both sides of the aisle to support this common sense legislation and open the doors of Washington, D.C. to every citizen of this great nation. I want to I thank you for being here and invite some of my colleagues to come up and make a few comments. Buddy.
Okay. Well, good morning. I'm Buddy Carter, and I have the honor and privilege of representing the 1st Congressional District of Georgia, which includes the entire coast of Georgia, a great area. I tell people all the time, 435 districts in the United States, and I get to represent the very best one. So, 60 years ago, the federal perimeter rule may have made sense, but a lot's changed since then. A whole lot has changed, and it's important, and that's why I'm here today to show my support for the compromise solution for the Direct Capital Access Act, which will make for longer, cheaper, and more readily available flights out of Washington, D.C. and out of DCA. That's very, very important. We want to make sure that we want to make sure we have access to our nation's capital. Look, I've been coming up here for 8.5 years. I'm excited every time I come back up here. It is an honor to serve in Washington, D.C. This is our nation's capital. People should have access to it. It should be accessible and it should be affordable. But this rule is causing us to have more expensive flights as a result of the federal perimeter rule, as my colleague Burgess Owens just pointed out, the only federal perimeter rule that's still in effect in the country. And that's something that I'm very concerned about, because I want to make sure people have the same opportunity to get to their capital, the people's capital, to see this place. This is a great place to visit, and we ought to be encouraging people to be here and to come here and to visit. Now, I'm sincere about this. I think we need to make it more accessible, and I think we need to make it more affordable. However, I want to make sure you understand, I represent the city of Savannah. We have a direct flight. And those flights are important. And I want to make sure they stay in place. That's why I've chosen to support the compromise solution. There are people who are very concerned that some of these other flights are going to get cut out. We've been assured that's not going to be the case. So if we can make sure that we keep those flights in place and we can expand even more, then that's what we should do. And that's why I'm supporting this. And that's why I want to thank Burgess Owens for what his leadership has been to this and how he has taken the ball, if you will, and run with it. And this is very important because, again, this is about our country's capital, our nation's capital, that should be accessible, that should be affordable. We all want to make sure that we have the opportunity to get here and that our citizens the people of this country get to come to their capital. Thank you, Burgess, for taking the lead on this. Thank you for your support of this, and thank y'all.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Veronica Escobar, and I have the privilege of representing El Paso, Texas in Congress. It's Texas' 16th Congressional District. And I stand here with my colleagues to support a bipartisan compromise on the issue. And as a strong supporter of the DCA Act, I want to thank Representative Owens for his leadership on this issue. And as my colleagues both have pointed out, this absolutely has to do with cost, but it also has to do with access for me and my constituents, not just access to the Capitol, but access to the DC area, including the Pentagon, Quantico, Virginia, and other critical assets. In my district, we have a significant number of federal employees. My border district has DEA, a significant number of DEA, TSA, FBI, DHS, CBP employees. In addition to that, I have the privilege of representing Fort Bliss, Texas. I serve on the House Armed Services Committee, and Fort Bliss, along with White Sands Missile Range, represent the two largest military installations that our country has. We have 100,000 service members and their families in our region. We have 46,000 veterans. And all of those service members, all of those federal employees, all of those family members routinely need access to our nation's capital. DOD employees who have to come to the Pentagon or come to testify or come to meet with leadership. And we are an airport, the El Paso International Airport, is one that is 600 miles away from the closest direct flight to the Washington, D.C. area. 600 miles away to the closest direct flight. That is unacceptable. It has been unacceptable to my constituents and to all of those who work for the federal government on our behalf. And this bill would offer significant financial relief and direct access to a key component of the work that they do on our behalf in our country. So again, I want to thank Representative Owens for his work, not just on the DCA Act, but pushing forward a compromise that can and should be accepted so that we can ensure that we have that important connection to our constituents and that we continue to drive down those prices and increase that access. And with that, I'll introduce my colleague from Texas, Representative Chip Roy.
Well, thanks, Veronica. And I have to say that, I love Texas, and I love El Paso. Of course, El Paso is kind of 600 miles from everything. Like that, when you're in El Paso, we were just driving through Texas en route to Utah with my family just a couple of weeks ago, and there's a whole lot of time to think when you're out in West Texas. But I'm happy to be here with Burgess, with Buddy, obviously Shetaleve, and Veronica. This is clearly not a partisan issue. This is just something that we need to do as the United States Congress to get this right. This is a rule that was created in 1966. It's long past due for an update, and to make sure that we're providing solutions for the American people to be able to come to their capital. I completely agree with Veronica about the importance of El Paso having greater options to be able to move the people from Fort Bliss and the federal employees there, but not just the federal employees, the state folks, as well as the her constituents and people who need to come to their capital. But I represent San Antonio, and it's a city that's got about 1.7 million people, and it's the 7th largest city in the country, and it has Joint Base San Antonio. It has enormous numbers of military installations, and it does not have a direct flight to Reagan National. That's ridiculous, and that is a product of an old rule that was arbitrary, so it needs to change. Now, you guys write all these stories like, you're looking for your own direct flight so you can get up here to work. No. I've got a direct flight out of Austin. It's about 20 minutes from my house, one direct flight. But the people of San Antonio have been clamoring this for decades. My predecessor, Lamar Smith, my former colleague, Will Hurd, my colleague, Tony Gonzalez, my Democratic colleagues in San Antonio have been working on this for a while, and it's long past due. This is a 5-year authorization. We need to fix it now. Hopefully Senator Cruz over there on the Commerce Committee is going to be able to help us shepherd this through in the Senate. But we need to get it done. That we're talking about less than 2% of the existing slots by having 7 additional slots. They can move and manage and deal with what they need to do with the traffic at Reagan, but we got to be able to free up some of these cities outside of the perimeter rule and give some flexibility while maintaining and making sure we're not going to negatively impact flights like Buddy has in a direct flight from Savannah and so forth. Now, his district is a great district. I love Savannah, but it ain't Texas 21, so we'll all defend our own home districts as we see going forward. But we need to do this. I really applaud Burgess for all his work on this. And by the way, compromising, right? We started off with 28 slots. We were working on 13 or 14. We ended up at 7. 7, I think, is a number that ought to move through with sail through the House. And I hope that a few of the airlines that view this as a ability to have a monopoly for themselves will stand down and allow this to free up. What are they afraid of? A little competition? I'd like to see all the airlines agree that this is better for the industry and for the people they serve. I'll give it back to Burgess.
I want to thank my colleagues. Just one last little comment. I think that the greatest thing we can give to our country is that concept of education. And we have so many families out there, young children, elementary, high school, adults who've never had a chance to come to this great city to really understand our history, understand what we stand for, and what our vision should be. So we need to bring down the cost so American people can be educated, feel better about their nation, and know what we're fighting for to keep our freedom. So that being said, I want to just open up for a couple questions, and then we'll kind of close this out. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. Obviously, this amendment's now in order as part of the rule. When we get a floor vote later this week, do you anticipate either party's leadership twisting arms one way or the other on this, or is this going to be a true vote the way you want to vote? I know there's Democrats and Republicans.
My understanding will be a true vote based. We want to. We will our constituents. I mean our colleagues will be pushing as hard as we can to whip the votes up. I think the key right now is we're focused on the free market aspect. Let the people speak. Let the people vote with their feet, with their dollars, as opposed to legislators here in D.C. controlling the only 2 airports in this country right now. So I think that's going to be a good message, and I feel confident we're going to pull this off. Yes.
Has there been any communication with the Maryland and Virginia senators who have opposed this idea in the past? Have they been? Have you talked to them at all as part of this deal?
I don't know, Chip, would you have any idea on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, basically our message has been pretty clear. Like, this is going to help everybody, and it's going to help United. It's going to help Dulles. There's going to be no real downside here. Again, we're preserving the existing ability for flights to come into Reagan. There's plenty of growth opportunities in flights at Dulles and all the other regional airport or the airports in the region. And we've been communicating that. It's been a little bit. I've had this conversation a little bit with Senator Kaine and some others, but we're going to get it through the House, and then we'll talk to the Senate.
Just one little thing that every carrier gets an extra route, so it is truly open, and I think this will be a good opportunity for us to really see those prices come down a little bit. Yes, Christina.
I know you started at 28. Now you settled at 7. Can you talk a little bit about how you got to that number? And is 7 really going to be enough to have a meaningful impact on the price? I mean, that's only one additional flight per carrier.
Whenever there's the free market competition, meritocracy, the prices will come down. So it is not as much as we want it, but at the end of the day, it comes down to this place. We need to compromise. And at the end of the day, we're inching our way more toward the concept of more people getting here, and we'll continue the process as we open this up and people see the benefits. Then maybe we can expand a little bit the next go around. And I want to make sure Veronica has yes.
With that number 7. Is that enough to guarantee that San Antonio and El Paso actually get new direct flights?
Unfortunately, we have no idea where those routes are going to be opened up at. That's something that each airlines will have to kind of figure out. Each carrier will have to figure out. They'll take a look at what's best for them, what's best for the constituents. I think the key though is once competition gets in there, it should impact the entire country. People will be able to come, for instance, to Salt Lake City. I'm hoping that we get a place there, and those prices should be going down. So that should kind of impact the entire nation as this process opens up to everyone. Veronica, do you have any other comments?
No.
Okay. I want to thank you guys for being here. This is the way our capital should work, compromise, giving the constituents the better options. In this case here, free market options. I'm excited about being part of it. And I want to thank my colleagues again for standing with us. And we're going to fight hard to make sure this goes through to the very end and American consumer wins. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Okay, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.